I just wanted to make a quick video on my opinion of the Springfield Garrison. I wouldn't call myself a 1911 expert, but I was with the sheriff's office where I carried one for several years and did pistol instructor courses with it, and the sheriff had us do competitions and different various trainings, and I had many thousands of rounds through that 1911. It was a it was a Smith & Wesson E series, and that thing was accurate and extremely reliable. I think the only issue I ever had with it was when the buffer spring failed, and replaced it, and it kept going. But really no failures with that gun. Over 15,000 rounds through it. I had a Springfield TRP for a lot of years. I shot a lot out of that. Really good pistol. Really loved it. I wanted to step it up, and I bought a Springfield Custom Shop Professional operator, so it had the rail on it, and beautiful gun. I think I paid $3,500 for that gun, new, and it was definitely not through Springfield, but I didn't order it through Springfield, but I did get it new. And you know, for the money, I just felt like it, it felt nicer than the TRP, but it wasn't $2,000 nicer. I really liked the front checkering on the front strap that it had, but I couldn't justify the cost of it, and I sold it right away. And when I bought that, the day I got it, I also picked up a Rock Island 9mm 1911, and that thing has been perfect. Never any malfunctions. I have, I think, 1,000 rounds through it. When I bought that at the time, I picked up a bunch of Wilson Combat 9mm magazines. I paid more for the magazines than I did for the gun, but I really like that Rock Island. Nothing that I would carry on duty, but it's just a fun beater gun on the ranch. And so anyways, moving to this Garrison 9mm, I'd never had a 9mm 1911 except for that Rock Island. And when I got hired with a state law enforcement agency, I was issued one of these, and this is very recent. Within the last week, I was hired about 2 weeks ago, and I started last week. And anyways, they gave me this. Never shot one, never looked at one, never held one. Had carried Glocks on various departments I'd been at, and was indifferent about them, but they were okay. Didn't have any issues with them. To me, it was just a tool. And anyways, they told me that, yeah, you can carry whatever you want. So because this was 9mm, they issue 9mm, it being a state agency, I didn't really want to jump through the hoops of getting the 45 ammo, and that Rock Island, I really like it being 9mm. They issue 9mm, so I went with a 9mm 1911. Bought this the day I was supposed to qualify. I figured, well, I'm not going to carry it after I qualify, but I'll put, after I qualify on it, I'll put a couple thousand rounds through it and make sure it's good to go, and then I'll start carrying it. This gun, the Smith, just to give you a little reference point, I hadn't shot. Last I qualified was a year ago. Got to the range, didn't practice with this gun at all. just went through the qual course, and I qualified with a 94. And it was a 94, no excuses, but, you know, the failure drills, 2 to the chest, 1 to the head. Well, I muffed it, and I put 3 to the chest. And the instructor was like, well, we're not counting that headshot. So that was one that I lost, and there was another one, I think I threw it, you know, at the 25-yard, I don't know. Anyways, you know, did really well. I went to qualify with this right after that, and it was just all over the place. I thought, well, heck, it's been a couple years since I shot a 1911. And I really started feeling bad about it, you know. And to give you a little bit of reference or qualification, like I said, I'm not an expert. And, you know, I understand I haven't shot one in a couple years, but other than that Rock Island and that, you know, on a qual course, I should say. I'd do it at the ranch, I'd shoot them, but not on a course of fire. At a previous state, I did very well with 1911s. I made the governor's 20 list. So, you know, my pride was kind of hurting on this one. They were all over the place, and not all, they were consistent, but they were consistently out of the, you know, out of where they should have been. And I couldn't qual. I went through twice. I think the first time I shot a 72 and then a 68. And I started thinking, well, dang, maybe I shouldn't be carrying a 1911, you know. But on the third round to qual, this thing just seized up. See, there's no magazine in it. And it was shooting great. It ejected around, and it stopped right about here. And it was absolutely seized up. There was nothing I could do with it. It took everything in me to get the slide apart. And yes, it was lubed up. It had plenty of lube on the rails, lube on the barrel. You know, if I'm at the range, I drench a 1911. If I carry it with, you know, a loaded mag and 2 spares on duty, I carry it completely dry. And you can say what you want. It's not going to seize up after 3 magazines. I don't care what you say. But I'm not going to carry a wet 1911 on duty day in and day out and let it collect dust and let it get grimy and gummed up. That's my prerogative. That's what I do. Anyways, so this thing was drenched, and it just seized up. I think it is binding up on the, what do you call that? The ejector. So I, you know, took it apart at the range, and actually right now it's starting to free up a lot more than it ever has been just now as we're as I'm going over this with you. But I think it's binding on this, and it's kind of, it has a shiny spot right here. There is, oh, if I could see it. There is kind of a shiny spot right here on the inside of the rail, where it might be a tight spot. That doesn't bother me. You know, otherwise it seems to be a nice tight gun. The other complaint I would say is right in here. It has that bead blasted finish. So clearly that's a low spot on the inside of the rail. Otherwise, the rest of the rail seems to make contact with the slide. get it back together. There's another thing I wanted to show. But otherwise, the other complaints I would have is, and I'm not one of those guys that, oh, MIM parts, and, you know, I don't think there's an issue with MIM parts, so to speak. Unless it's a part that is going to have stress on it, I don't care. However, you know, having said that, this particular Springfield, the MIM parts, they're just garbage. Like, you can tell that they are trash. The TRP, I believe it had some MIM parts, and you could tell because it would have, you know, there's the injection spot on the hammer. You would see that on some of the parts on that TRP, but they still felt heavy, solid, and of good quality. These parts just feel like garbage. They just absolutely feel like trash. It feels like the slide, the frame, the grips, the grip panels, they all feel mid-grade to me. Good quality, good appearance, good finish. Although this bead blasting is kind of, I don't know, just cheap feeling to me. I'd probably take some steel wool after it gets back from Springfield and knock it down. But, you know, I've gone through Wilson Combat website, and I'm going to reorder all the parts and have a gunsmith replace all the parts. No custom smithing, no custom anything, but just replace all the MIM parts. And then, you know, paying $950 out the door after taxes, I'm going to be into this thing for, you know, $1,500, when I should have just probably went with a Smith E-Series. Anyways, the other thing is, you know, I thought, gee, the accuracy, it can't be the gun, you know, but look at this. I don't know if you can see that. There is, let me see if I can stabilize it. There is about 3 paper thicknesses. If you take 3 sheets of paper, you can slide them right in there. That barrel bushing is being pushed out by the cap. If you can see how loose that is. Just, I don't know. I have to say I'm not impressed with it. And it's not like I can just take it back to Sportsman Warehouse and return it. So I spoke to Springfield yesterday. They sent me a label. They're gonna supposedly they're gonna fix this, the bushing. They're gonna fix the slide. And what else are they gonna take care of? This button, for the mag release is just £1,000,000 pounds. You know, inserting a magazine, you have to push this. It won't want a seat when you go to put a magazine in. Yeah, I don't know. I watched a couple other reviews after this, and people talking about the the Springfield Garrison. Well, this is a sample of one, and going over the problems. Well, you know, I think that's pretty generous. I think that you know, Springfield has just dropped the ball on this thing. I don't know. Anyways, that's my thoughts on it. I'm gonna, you know, I'll try to do an update when I get it back in 4 to 6 weeks from Springfield. And you know, I think the kick in the pants is I was seriously considering maybe another professional. The HRT one, I found one on Gunbroker for $3,000. I offered, I think, 2. They're firm. I'd pay $3, but I'd already gotten this thing, and I thought, well, I'm gonna give this thing a shot and see what happens. I'm feeling like I should have just bought that's professional. It was the HRT one, so it doesn't have the rail. It's one of the early production ones. I'll put it through duty. I don't care. Or I was, maybe thinking of a Wilson Combat or a Nighthawk. I've got the money to do it. It wasn't because I couldn't afford anything that I went with this one. I thought, well, Springfield seems to make some high quality firearms. It won't break my heart if I drop it or get ran over in the corrals and the gun gets thrown and full of dirt. And so I figured I'd give this thing a shot. And at this point, I feel like it was a mistake. I'm going to give Springfield the opportunity to correct the issues with it. And seems like their customer service is top-notch. So maybe this is a sample of one. I don't know. Anyways, thanks for watching if you did. And I'll try to update when I get it back from Springfield. Thanks.